Hi everyone! Today I wanted to do a video on how to look softer and more feminine. This is a really important concept because a lot of times I've noticed people, especially girls, who try to look feminine and desire that very feminine aesthetic but kind of can't accomplish it because they just don't really know where to start, and they don't really know what pieces to buy, what to implement, and how to kind of build a more feminine aesthetic for themselves. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. Okay, so first of all, what is a feminine aesthetic to you? What is something that's soft and gentle, that kind of sparks, that kind of tickles your fancy in that sense? So what you have to define that, because there's a lot of softness and there's a lot of feminine things that in aesthetics and stuff like that, and subsects of aesthetics that you can go into, and you can kind of make that your aesthetic. But you have to first find out what is the softness that you want to have in your life, or you want that to be kind of your main I guess thing. So for a lot of people, their soft aesthetic, or the softness that they want is kind of they want to look a lot more uh like the princess aesthetic. That's very feminine. Or some girls, they really want to have that ballet core aesthetic. That's very feminine too. Some girls have the kawaii aesthetic, also a very feminine aesthetic. So the first thing you want to do is kind of find which subsect of aesthetic that you fall into. So for me personally, I don't have a very ballet core specifically aesthetic. My aesthetic in terms of femininity is more florally clothes, lighter colors, something light, very sweet, kind of rounded, soft. I'm not really looking for something that's too intense. So just taking me for example, a lot of the things that I have in terms of fabrics are in silk. They're kind of in lace. Another good thing you might want to look at is really pretty bralettes, like those ones. They're kind of made out of lace. They're very delicate. They're very feminine. So that also is a really big key in finding out different feminine things, kind of lighter colors. If you're really into flowers, florals, that's really nice. If you're super into specific crystals, or if you're really into pearly things, or kind of narrow down your aesthetic and kind of find little images that kind of reflect that softness that you want to kind of emulate from your aesthetic. So get on Pinterest, make a Pinterest board, and start and look up soft aesthetic, or look up Pilates princess. Maybe you have a more athletic soft aesthetic. Maybe you have more of a princessy, more formal aesthetic. Maybe you have ballet core aesthetic. Maybe you have a Pilates, or I have said that already, but maybe you have just there's so many soft aesthetics out there. So you want to find and kind of narrow down what kind of soft aesthetic you have. After you've done narrowing this down to kind of find your ideal aesthetic, this is the one, these are the things, maybe you have these really pretty wine glasses that are very elegant. You can kind of see little items and stuff like that that are kind of soft and gentle, that really speak to you, like teacups, and kind of start to think of adjectives for those images in your mind. So if you have this really pretty delicate expensive teacup, I could say, okay, this teacup is elegant, right? It's formal, okay, and it's it's very small, very petite, very very you can't be super rough with a teacup because the handle is so thin that it's a very gentle kind of item basically. So you kind of have to take those adjectives that you have made from that certain teacup, or that certain item. It could even be I don't know, necklace. That's also a really good example. A really pretty delicate flower necklace. If I have, look for something, these earrings are they're really pretty delicate, small, pearly, elegant earrings. Those are kind of words: pearly, elegant, delicate, gentle. Those are the kind of words that you want to find other items that kind of also encapsulate those words. So if you have also this top, and this top is very thin, it's very silky, it's very delicate, it's a silk top, or if it's a satin top, that's a very delicate material. and very soft and very like smooth, very aesthetically pleasing, but also aesthetically pleasing in a way that is very like gentle. It could be construed as elegant. So you want to find things that stick out to you and then kind of go down the rabbit hole and see, why does this thing actually stick out to me? After you found out like why this thing sticks out to me, or why a certain item is like you're really drawn to it, you can kind of implement those like basic reasons into finding accessories, into finding, you know, like shirts, pants, that sort of stuff. Because if you don't actually know why you're drawn to something, or whether that be like a flower, or whether that be, you know, a set of like cups or a set of jewelry, you don't really know how to kind of inculcate that certain essence of that item into your everyday life. So after you've done this, make like a list of things that you kind of could elevate, that you already use and already have. So if you wear a lot of like tank tops, right, but you really want to add that more feminine touch to it, maybe try a corset. This is actually a kind of good example. This is a corset. There's like flowers on like the bottom half of it, but it's a very elegant kind of renaissance-y corset that I found on actually Amazon, and it was like $20, but it was very soft and very sweet and very feminine, and that's kind of what drew me to the corset in the first place, because that is kind of the vibe that I wanted to encapsulate, and this corset really accomplished that for me. You know, there's a lot of if you're going to wear, you know, darker colors instead of, you know, wearing jeans that are like super dark, maybe try like a light wash jean. You know, if you're maybe gonna wear like kind of really baggy jeans, which are more masculine, you want to make that more feminine, try to pick maybe something a little bit tighter, maybe even like a little bit of a flare jean. That's nice. So kind of like take things that you kind of use every single day and kind of correlate that to fit the adjectives that you want to like fit into your aesthetic. And that's really important, because this way you can kind of find a way to make those words kind of your essence. So if something is very, you know, like delicate, it's very light, it's very gentle, those things will sort of kind of come off from your vibe as well, or at least the vibe of how you dress. But going back to all of this, it's important to understand that an aesthetic is not equal to just your clothes. An aesthetic is kind of just everything about you. So if you really want to master a soft aesthetic, you're going to have to find different items and different ways that kind of make your appearance or make your vibe soft. So for example, when it comes to picking like a bag, like an everyday bag, instead of going for like an every single day office like bag, maybe try to go, it's like black and gray with zippers, you know, the kind that your company gives you. Go for a bag that's, you know, maybe a bit more structured. Maybe go for, you know, one with that has like a rose gold zipper or a rose gold chain. That is more elegant, that is more soft, that is more like feminine. You know, other in like, you know, even in like pencil patches, like make sure to go for one that's, you know, a little bit like softer and cuter. This way, you know, that's sort of, I mean, I'm going for kind of like, I guess, academic and school lifestyle but changes, but just in general, everything. So like even the things that you buy around your house or your room to decorate your room, make sure those are feminine too. Like, you know, I wouldn't really think about making the switch when it came to everything, but now I have, you know, these really pretty silk pillowcases which I have on my pillows that I kind of really enjoy, because those are, you know, very feminine. They add kind of like a glossy touch to, you know, my pink bed sheets. That's also something that you can implement. I mean, that pink is a general color. Bed sheets aren't exactly the very specific soft thing, but that's a good example. Like even my jewelry, even like the water bottles, even my like, you know, pouch and zipper and case, all of that kind of goes with the aesthetic of the very soft and feminine aesthetic. So if you kind of like, if you want to create that sort of feminine aesthetic and kind of like that, like kind of encapsulate that soft life, then try to encapsulate that soft life, not just, you know, in an outfit, but in kind of like even in your decor. Like have flowers, like those are kind of dead, but the flowers in my background over there, try to kind of encapsulate like flowers and buy flowers. Even in your makeup, trying to make it look a little more softer. Use pinky tones, use soft tones. Even in your pajamas, like even when you go to bed, like if you really want to make a very like lasting soft feminine impression, then make sure that you kind of incorporate that soft feminineness in everything that you do. It's not just like, oh well, today I'm going to be soft and feminine and tomorrow it's back to my sweatpants and sweatshirt. Like, no. If you want to be feminine, if that's something that you're really committed to, make sure that everything you do is feminine. Make sure that everything you do is light and pretty, and at least find some way to incorporate the prettiness or the feminineness into it. You don't have to be pretty all the time, you don't have to be feminine all the time, but find a way to incorporate that into your daily life, so that will kind of create like an energy and aura, and kind of will create a standard for yourself. So you kind of always live up to the certain standard of, oh, everything in my life is very feminine, very put together, very elegant, very graceful, very gentle, and that will kind of become your almost vibe after that, because aesthetic is very much so connected to like your vibe as well as the way you look. It's not just the way you look, because you could look one way but you could be totally different. So you want to make sure that your personality, your aesthetic, your you know, kind of like the way you carry yourself, that all kind of goes together, because only then will it become like convincing. That's like if I went to like a very formal event and I was dressed like, you know, like trashy. Like, nothing wrong with being a little trashy, it's fun, but if you're going to a formal event, then that's not going to go together. You want to be as cohesive as possible. So if you're trying to create this very perfect aesthetic, then it's not really going to work out in your favor to dress like, you know, like lazy, or it's just not going to be very convincing in that sense. And a good way to always be like kind of embrace that like really feminine aesthetic is to always be feminine in some way. Consistency isn't like always doing something, but it's doing something pretty often. So the way that I would really inculcate that like feminine aesthetic is to wear those feminine fabrics most days, you know, is to have kind of like accessories and stuff like that, and most times buy stuff that is very feminine. Don't buy something if it's, you know, not going to be cohesive with your aesthetic. I mean, I understand there's some things you can't like not buy, like you're not gonna buy like a very aesthetic like toilet brush, but like even the small things, like make sure that like instead of going for, you know, a very bland looking toothbrush, maybe go for one that's, you know, pink and pretty. That's a very subtle switch, but you know, it starts with the small things, and everything, even the biggest things, will start with the small things. If you want to have a very feminine aesthetic, then don't wear red lipstick, wear a soft pink lipstick. This is a bad example because I'm wearing red, but basically what I'm trying to say is be as soft and as elegant as possible within your current lifestyle, and eventually after you've gotten comfortable in your softness, go to the next level, be even more soft, be more elegant, you know. And eventually, if you do this for long enough, it'll become kind of like your everyday. It won't be the soft feminine aesthetic, won't be something that you just have like occasionally. It'll be something that is like basically your everyday, and people will come to expect this, not expect this of you. And it's not that people should be expecting something of you, but this will become your norm, and this will kind of become like just your aesthetic, and you'll recognize yourself as this is just who I am, and other people will also see that. So that'll help you build a more long-lasting aesthetic. That's all I have for you guys today. Oh, and I'm also doing like consultations, like styling styling consultations. If you want any help with finding your personal style, if you want any help with kind of figuring out how to dress better, you guys can email me down below and we can set like an appointment up. Bye, have a good one.